I'm going to show you a third match where StarCraft 2 players Serral was competing against StarCraft 2 player Special, two very well known StarCraft 2 players. They were competing in semifinals, best of 5 at 2018 WCS Leipzig tournament. Special is on the right and Serral is on the left. They are competing in 2018 WCS Leipzig, which is the first of 4 events of the 2018 WCS circuit. Game version Legacy of the Void patch 4.1.4. The map is Blackpink LE right here. You can take a closer look at the map. And let's move on into the tournament statistics here. So format: the first group stage 64 players, second group stage 32 players, third group stage 16 players from the second group stage, 16 players from the qualifiers. 8 groups of 4 players each played in dual tournament format. Matches are best of 3. Top 2 players of each group advance to the playoffs. The playoffs: 16 players in a single elimination bracket. Round of 16 to semifinals are played in best of 5. Finals are played in best of 7. Here's the map pool. You can find the casters. At any point you can stop the video and take a closer look. You can see that the prize pool is massive, $101,000 and 12,000 WCS circuit points. Here you can see that the first place is taken home $20,000, second place $10,000, third, fourth place $6,500. Notable participants. Here you can take a look if you find your favorite player. You can see the final group results and matches here. Here's the brackets right there. I'm going to play this match for you. It's going to be the third match, Serral versus Special. Finland against Mexico. There's more statistics out there. The race statistic, region statistic, and the country statistics. Map statistics: also find your favorite race and compare to others. 2018 WCS Leipzig is part of StarCraft World Championship Series, which makes up a series of events just like 2018 WCS Leipzig. You can find the table right here. So 3 leagues for Korea, 3 GSL leagues seasons, 2 Korean events, and on the other side WCS circuit events that consist of 4 Leipzig. Then we have global events, IEM Season 12 World Championship and 2018 GSL versus the World. If you want to see some of these matches casted, you can go to AndYouLeftTheGame YouTube channel by typing AndYouLeftTheGame in the search bar, youtube.com. You'll come up with one of these 2 channels or both. You can click, if you find both, on the one without any blank spaces here, and this will take you straight to the channel. Otherwise, if you for any reason will get a search result that consists of the channel with the blank spaces, click on it, then look for featured channels just on the right and click on the featured channels. Then you'll be straight into the AndYouLeftTheGame YouTube channel. Furthermore, this is the visual representation of a StarCraft World Championship Series Global Finals. They will be getting $500,000 in between. Now there's 8 players from Korea and 8 players from the circuit. Korea is separated into 3 GSL leagues and 2 super tournaments, while the circuit is separated into 4 tournaments: Leipzig, Austin, Valencia, Montreal, and 4 challengers. Now, Global IEM Katowice has also a massive payout of $250,000 overall, and there's a all-star event GSL versus the world. Now that we know about the tournaments, let's move on to the players. The first player is Serral. He's from Finland and he made over $130,000 playing StarCraft 2. You can learn more about him by reading through all this information before the match starts. Learn about his past, his trivias, and you can also read some of his interviews online. Furthermore, there are achievements here, and these achievements can be compared to other player achievements. Also, you can move on to these events yourself when they start this year in 2018, and you can participate in them live. His opponent is a Terran player, goes by the nickname of Special. He's from Mexico and he previously had other nicknames, so he may also be known as Major. He is changing nicknames quite often, however his roots date back to 2011 when he was in Root Gaming, and he even played Heart of the Swarm. You can read about his trivias and achievements, where he was winning money in premier tournaments, major tournaments, minor tournaments, premier team games, and so on and so forth. There are also many interviews dating back to 2011 that may be of interest. As well, you can check out these pictures to familiarize yourself. Now let's move on to the third match and take a look at it from Serral's perspective. It's Blackpink LE. Currently Serral has won 2 games. One of those games was won with an outstanding Night Swarm play. And now we're back into a quite significant, massive map here. The last time, the first match that happened in a large map was when the Terran has focused very much on a bio play. He made many drops. Most of these drops were a complete disaster, and his bio composition was very much countered by massive number of Zerglings and Banelings. Furthermore, the Zerg was dropping clouds from Vipers on the Terran tanks consistently, which made tanks incapable of firing during the battles, and this was very devastating for the Terran, because his Marines without a tank support were just simply easily eradicated by a massive number of Banelings, Zerglings supported by Hydralisks. We'll see if this time Special is going to choose a bio play, and if we'll see an action-packed battle, or will Special transition or choose to play a mechanized army or aircraft-based army, and Zerg will meet its end in this part of the universe. Now we see a ultra super quick Nexus here at 2 minutes 30. Obviously this kind of build is very weak to early game cheese, and as you can see already from the scouting, the Zerg player had absolutely no idea about Special's choice of play here, and this could as well simply mean that if the turn went for any kind of famous cheese early aggression play, he would be victorious this time. However, it seems that none of the Marines are showing up, and it may be that the Terran decided to focus on very economy-based play here. Let's wait just a minute further and we'll be sure if Terran is not going to show up with 20 Marines, 15 Marines, or will he show up with the cheese. Obviously 50 Marines would just easily carve through those queens and take out a hatchery, a second hatchery, and probably even third hatchery before the Zerg is able to mount a significant defense. But it looks like no, the Terran has decided to move on and build himself the Hellions, and these Hellions are going to be a good counter for Zergling play. And for as long as Zerg does not have roaches or hydralisks, it's going to be very difficult to do something about this kind of game. Now in here you can see that the creep tumors were spotted by Hellion operators there. Overall, it looks like Zerg is not really investing with any serious significance into his army force, while the Terran does have 8 Hellions, which isn't that bad after all. That Liberator is going to be countered by a very carefully positioned Queen there. And those Lings will try, supported by Queens, and Roaches keep those Hellions at bay. Here the Liberator did manage to break into the natural space, and Serral quickly moved away his drones so that the Liberator would not be able to siege himself. For as long as he just flies around, he'll be continuously hit by well-placed Queens at the edge of the map. Here you see that Serral at all times knew what was going on, but still sacrificing his roaches here. Probably just didn't know how much damage will these roaches do. But obviously they will not be doing much at all. Because if those Hellions take up a really good defensive positions, the Zerg roaches are just not going to be able to shoot effectively and take those units out. Now we finally see some Banshee play here, but an observer was already in place, as if Serral knew that there's going to be a Banshee play there. As you can see, there was only one observer, and that observer was placed exactly where the Banshees came. Now this Ling run by, as much as it looks effective, is not gonna do well against the remaining 8 Hellions there. Massive number of Zerglings may not be very bad against Hellions, against few Hellions. However, when there's a large number of Hellions, all that fire damage that's continuously spreading in a line is just going to be too much to handle. Now these Hellions will turn into Hellbats and will make roaches even harder to play with. It looks like Serral is focusing very much on the economy here, continuously spreading while having 13 roaches and a couple of queens. You see if those Hellions that are left unattended here, they are going to quickly move into the base and try to snipe away drones, and in this case snipe 6 drones away. Very nice play by both players. I like that Serral managed to defend against that. He attacked these drones into those Hellbats. It looks like the Terran is showing aggression from all sides here. And those Hellions are doing enormous damage. Another 5 drones are done. Another even more drones are dead. 9 in total here before they got destroyed. Probably they needed to focus on firing solely on the drones rather on that massive army. However, that would require a lot of microing, because the units tend to naturally attack other fighting units rather than the drones. They kind of, if there are fighting units around, then your links, for example, will not attack the drones, or SUVs. They will attack those fighter units. So if, for example, a marine is surrounded by SUVs, the links, Zerglings, will just run around those SUVs trying to reach the marine, but they won't attack the marine itself. So suddenly the Zerglings start to see drones as some kind of a wall that they need to run around rather than a potential target, and these kind of things need to be microed. So these Hellion run-bys right here has cost 18 drones for the Zerg, but Zerg has been effectively consistently rebuilding those drones here. And now the Zerg has 6 queens, and those queens are consistently in action. They also have to do injects, obviously. And the Zerg is keeping those overlords bunched up in one place, which would be a very good target for air units. And here we see from Special, he is attacking with a massive number of tanks, and I already see on the map infantry or Hellions moving in. Serral is just not looking what's in his northern base, and it looks like it's tank Hellion attack from Special. The hive has already reached its highest levels there, and Serral decided to go for Roach, Hydralisk, Broodlord and Viper play here. Obviously, if not for the Vipers, there would be little. If not for the Vipers and Broodlords, there would be little that Serral could do, because those tanks would consistently make sure that Serral's army is not moving close enough. Now we see the first Liberators showing themselves up, and this one is not harassing Serral's lines. This one is on the front line. Now the queens are all over the edges of the map to make sure that all these Liberators that are here to harass are being brought down very quickly. Serral is not building any static defense whatsoever in his mineral lines there. However, Serral is certainly famous. Okay, so there are some static defense here and there. Serral is quite famous for building himself a second line of defense solely based off spore crawlers, and in some cases a few spine crawlers. So when fighting such opponents as Protoss, Serral would just simply make himself 20 spore crawlers, spread creep further, and just deploy those spore crawlers close to opponent's base. Now here we see that fast Hellions are certainly not going to stop and fight those roaches. However, Serral's forces are deployed all over, and they will easily be able to catch up with the Hellions. And as you can see on creep, those roaches are much faster. creep is being spread even further. Both players have reached their max supply. If you look at the upgrades, you'll see that the Zerg, he already has +2/+2, but the Terran player, surprisingly enough, is only focusing on air unit upgrades rather than ground unit upgrades. I wonder why. It looks like Serral is being a lot less aggressive than in the previous games. In the first game, when fighting the Marines, tanks, medivacs and marauders, Serral was very aggressive. This time he's on the defensive and is not being able to get to all the places at the same time there. As you can see, those screens were transfusing each other very effectively, and attack only by the tanks there was quite disastrous. I see that the roaches here were being hit by planetary fortress a little bit too much, and that's why those roaches are moving away from that area, obviously. And they have encountered another command center with another planetary fortress there, making things much more difficult. So the Serral has a massive Broodlord army here, so he decided to counter those tanks and Hellions with Broodlords. Very good decision indeed. Those Vipers are picking up tanks. It looks like the Terran player special is not mounting any significant attacks, and I finally see the Terran counter toward those Broodlords. The Terran is just simply going to build himself an incredibly large number of Liberators. Now you see those ghosts have sniped away almost all those Broodlords. Yeah, almost all those Broodlords are sniped away. The entire batch, like the entire army, the entire fleet of Broodlords have been sniped away by a squad of those ghosts. So that was an absolute and complete disaster by the Zerg player here. For the Zerg player here, because he lost all of his Broodlords. Now he's moving away to attack the planetary fortress. It's good that the planetary fortress got the clouds from Vipers on him. Look at that army on the map moving. It certainly looks like a swarm, but surprisingly all of his forces are here in the south. But there are no Terran forces in the south. It looks like none of these sides are committing into this offensive, and they all moved south solely to counter this one single Liberator. And in the meantime, the Terran did not commit an offensive to the north, so it looks like the north is in control by the Terran, and the south is in control by the Zerg. And none of these two sides are going to attack. The Zerg has many Vipers to take those tanks. However, these Vipers can be very easily wiped out with a well microed batch of ghosts. And these ghosts are probably regenerating their energy after the last battle, but it seems that another offensive is mounting. Many ghosts are here. Serral is cornered here, and it looks bad. It looks real bad. He's just away of those Liberator zones. Spore crawlers are here defending this area, so Serral is exactly where he wants to be. Exactly, just absolutely perfect spot for Serral. He just needs to move those Terran units closer to him, and the same counts for the Terrans. The Terrans need to come closer. Look at that, the Vipers will suddenly try to take all those ghosts coming closer to take them out, but the tanks moved a little bit too close. With the tanks so close, they're going to be able to kill all of these Hydralisks there in that position by the Broodlords. However, the Serral moved more of his Hydralisks in that area, and it looks like finally he's committing on offensive with the Vipers, but there is just too many Liberators, too many tanks, and it looks like the Vipers have ran out of energy. They're going to consume their own extractor there, so just they could get that that energy, so that more Liberators could be drawn into his swarm of Hydralisks, so that these Liberators could be taken out. This is a very intense battle. So many Liberators. The Vipers are out of energy now. They needed to regain that energy by consuming more extractors, and the battle is very much continuing here. 61 workers versus 76. Terran is making 1,500, the Zerg is making 2,000. Both of these are in 1,600, 1,700 supply cap. Many workers are out here. The Zerg relies mostly on Hydralisks and Vipers to pick up those dangerous units out there. So far so good, but it looks like the Terran Liberator push is simply endless here. This was an incredible resistance, and both of these players have showed fine skill, and I'm very impressed by Serral's ability to control those Vipers so effectively. It's absolutely incredible. He has 13 Vipers, so these 13 Vipers can pick up 13 tanks, 13 Liberators or more, depending on their energy there. Here this alien run-by wasn't working that well when those spines were helping the drones very much. Here we see that a bunch of SCVs have been caught, and it looks like the Zerg will move on to the north. In the north we see a radar and the turret. At the same time, the Terran is committing his Hellions in the south to stop Zerg from mining, and Terran now is making 3,300 resources, while with the mule drops, while the Zerg is making just over 1,300. So Zerg is certainly in trouble now. He's not maxed out, he's not doesn't have heaps of money here, and those Vipers can run out of energy very quickly, so he certainly needs to increase his forces. On the other hand, the Terran decides to build himself a Thor. Thor will be easily drawn into the swarm by all those Vipers out there. Now he starts to build up a bases with static defense, obviously a very important step here, and Terran is non-stop playing those Liberators here. So these Liberators are very hard to counter. Only with the Vipers can the Zerg actually fight these effectively. So both of these players have to use very good micromanagement in order for them to do this properly. Finally, Vipers are in full health, in full strength with their energy, and this means that many Liberators will be caught there. He is starting to rebuild his Broodlord fleet, and unfortunately for the Zerg, he is losing bases and already for quite a few minutes. He's being consistently outproduced by the Terran. However, instead of defending the south, the Zerg decides to move on to the north in the bases. Special suddenly evacuates all of his drone from his two bases in the north. The forces here will try to stop everything. Now this planetary fortress with the cloud on it is not going to shoot, and the SCVs will be repairing it consistently. Now the entire Terran force showed up, and the Zerg forces here cannot do anything to all those tanks and all those liberators here, so the Zerg is left with the retreat. The Zerg lost his two bases in the south. However, surprisingly enough, finally, at some points the Zerg can outproduce if the Terran is not dropping mills. But those SUVs will get back to work in the north, and the Terran will undoubtedly be regaining strength. Now there's way too many tanks here and liberators to do anything about this. Look at that. He moved in those liberators, and there's way too many tanks. Wow, that was just an absolute disaster. All those Hydralisks died. You see, the Vipers took many of those liberators with them. However, there's not much they could do against maybe 15 or 17 tanks that are out there. Okay, there's 14 tanks out there. Even some of them were with clouds, but not all of them. The infestors are very effectively countering ghosts by dropping those fungal growth poisons on the ghosts. However, this just wasn't enough. There were way too many tanks here, and Serral had to admit the defeat.